Welcome to Wonderland Weekly, hosted by Toronto Ty. Now sit back and have a wonderful week.
Hey everyone, Toronto Ty here, and this is my prediction for what Canada's Wonderland will announce on August 8th, 2024. Let's jump right in with a bit of background. Last year, Canada's Wonderland shared a few different coaster concepts it was considering in a survey sent to select guests. In the short off-season between January and April 2024, the park made 2 new holes in Wonder Mountain on ground level leading down to the basement, and demolished the Tiny Tom Donuts, Alpen Refresh, and Multi-Faith Space buildings in the International Festival area of the park, just northwest of Wonder Mountain. At the same time, Wonderland rebuilt an existing maintenance access tunnel for the mountain, located in the southeast corner, and passing under the station for Wonder Mountain's Guardian. Speaking of which, Guardian also had its transfer and storage track relocated from the 60-foot gaming level down to the 30-foot station level. During this time, the park also removed Extreme Skyflyer, a ride entertainment sky coaster sitting on a large plot of land between International Street and Flight Deck, due east from the globe which welcomes guests to the Grand World Exposition of 1890. When guests arrived for the start of the 2024 season, Extreme Skyflyer's land and portions of International Festival both had construction fences with the simple statement, "Please excuse our appearance, we're working on something big. Stay tuned." And so I have throughout the season. Things really picked up around July 19th when the park released a mysterious post on social media featuring 2 symbols and 8/8 repeated against a rocky surface background and the caption, "A new adventure is coming, 8/8. The very next day, Wonderland released a 19-second video showing a person carrying a lantern through a pitch-black space, followed by some fire and ice imagery, captioned, "Discover the legend within." Around the same time, Wonder Mountain got some new decorations. 3 signs, 2 red and 1 blue, with that same pair of mysterious symbols, and the word, "Beware." After 2 days of teasers in a row, and then 2 days without, Wonderland released a 3rd teaser at exactly 8:08 a.m. This teaser shows the "Beware" signs with some ominous music and eerie lighting, ending with a push in toward a light at the end of a mountain tunnel or cave. The caption? "You've been warned, 8/8. 2 days later, another teaser featuring the mysterious symbols, now painted on the 2 boarded up entries to the Journey Behind the Falls pathway. The black markings forming the south symbol became engulfed in flames. The north symbol becomes ice. And between the 2, the majestic Victoria Falls. Beware the elements, 8/8. Not long after that, the park painted the symbols, now fully associated with fire and ice, directly onto Wonder Mountain with the paralleled 8/8 right between them. Now for my favorite teaser to date, featuring a ring of colliding fire and ice with 8/8 in the center. The caption reads, "When elements combine, a power awakens. Discover the mountain that inspires legends, the village that reveres the elements, and the force that refuses to be contained. A new adventure is coming to Canada's Wonderland. Learn more on August 8th. The next day, the park released another teaser captioned, "Can they be contained? 8/8. The image has the mountain rock background split into 4 quadrants, each with a different drawing. The top shows what appears to be dragons, which most people, myself included, believe are referencing Herman and Ormar, the dragons from Thunder Run and Wonder Mountain's Guardian, respectively. The bottom has what looks like the Vortex logo, minus letters, and finally, the 2 fire and ice symbols. The easy interpretation is this depicts the forces which call or will call Wonder Mountain home. Another teaser shows the colliding ring of fire and ice with 8/8 in the center. But this time, it's a video including the text, When Forces Collide. The caption reads, 7 days to go, 2 powerful elements, 1 legendary mountain, a new epic adventure. Another set of in-park teasers have appeared in the form of posters, and these are probably the most intriguing of all. They read, Alpen Festival, performers and artisans wanted. Apply 8/8 in the village square. The border of this poster is made up of the fire and ice symbols alternating. The central image features a snowy mountain range, about 8 to 10 traveling festival or community tents, and standing around an icy protrusion, 2 figures, a juggler with 4 colorful balls, and a fire dancer manipulating flames around themselves. This poster was shown in a social post from the park using the caption, Party ball emoji, drama masks. Looks like things are getting festive in the village, 8/8. With just a few days left as of this recording, the park has now updated all the scrim on the construction fences and put up posters on International Street with the colliding fire and ice ring surrounding 8/8. That takes us up to date with the teasers. So now for the prediction of the theme, name, and layout. Honestly, I was hoping to have more of the layout figured out by now, so this is going to be pretty rough. But let's start an international festival. Or rather, AlpenFest, which was the name originally planned for this section of the park and has always been my preferred name for this area, themed to the Swiss and/or Bavarian Alps region. Similar to the pre-opening concept of Frontier Canada finally being realized, and Grand World Exposition of 1890 returning to the park map in 2019, I believe this area will officially be named AlpenFest moving forward as a way of honoring the original vision for Canada's Wonderland. Based on the pre-season construction video where the head of communications, Grace Peacock, used the word Alpen to refer to this area, and now the posters reading Alpen Festival, I'd honestly be a little disappointed if they didn't give this area a new name. Bonus points if they give some of the buildings a more Alps-inspired appearance, double bonus points if the fly gets a new name to match the area, and triple bonus points if Wonder Mountain's Guardian gets a new game. I think it's interesting the park is mentioning artisans and performers in this teaser, which I'm hoping means enhanced live entertainment and merchandise offerings in this central hub of the park, but I'm not quite sure where to place them. So now that we have the village, where it's a festival every day, we need to talk about the elements it reveres, fire and ice. Throughout basically the entire teaser campaign, I feel like there's been an emphasis on the number or concept of 2, fire and ice, 2 elements colliding. I know some people think it's a wild theory, but I think it's exactly the kind of big announcement the park would do. 2 separate coasters which interact at or in Wonder Mountain. To be clear, I'm not suggesting a pure dueling or racing coaster. There's barely enough space for one new coaster in AlpenFest as far as I can tell. No, I'm thinking one coaster has its station in AlpenFest, right next to the fly where the multi-faith space used to be. This ice coaster will have a mini launch to make it over the plaza before diving down into Wonder Mountain. I'm hoping for some dark ride scenes in here, and I think that's pretty likely because with the support structure, I think the park would have difficulty doing much more than some tight twists and turns in the mountain basement. With a bit of meandering through the depths of the mountain that inspires legends, riders learn more about the village and a being connected to the revered element of ice. This will likely be a dragon, since dragons are a recurring theme for Wonder Mountain, and it more closely matches folklore of the Alps than something like a Yeti. After this dark ride segment, the coaster will come to a stop facing a bright light at the end of a tunnel. Now it's time to face the ice dragon's rival, a fire dragon. Now, where did this fire dragon come from? I believe it came from a station built on Extreme Skyflyer's land. Yes, this coaster makes its way through and above the backstage space between International Street, Grand World Eatery, and International Showplace before coming to a stop outside the mountain, waiting for its prey to show its face. The two dragons, one inside a cool cave and the other in the warm summer air, now come face to face, launching toward each other in an epic collision of elements. As they pass each other, they possibly tilt toward one another or even twist above and below each other, giving riders on both trains the ultimate jousting experience. The ice dragon pulls up for another pass. The fire dragon weaves its way through the confines of the mountain before bursting out the top, possibly spouting fire before diving back down toward the ground. The two interact once again, the ice dragon delving back into the mountain for a moment, while the fire dragon dominates the skyline, both returning to their homes to prepare for the next encounter. There are a few reasons I like this concept, but I can already hear the arguments against this being what the park announces. I get it. First, why would the park invest in two coasters in the same year? Well, it's easily justified by them sharing a launch tunnel. You can't do one and wait years before adding the second one. You have to build them at the same time. It also allows the park to have one coaster, the Ice Dragon in my prediction, be a slightly more family-friendly, story-driven option with few, if any, inversions, while the other is for the more extreme thrill seekers, featuring multiple inversions, heights, and airtime moments. This is also the absolute best way to help address Wonderland's capacity needs. Two coasters means twice the capacity increase compared to a single one, and it serves two markets simultaneously. It is more expensive, but with the amount of land this project seems to cover, I don't think it's that outrageous. No matter what, there needs to be enough track to cover all of this land, meaning the cost difference between one and two coasters, while significant, isn't outside the realm of possibility in my opinion. This also helps prevent people from being confused about where the ride's entrance is, because if there's some kind of major element around the World Expo entrance, people are almost certainly going to be a little confused about where it starts. Honestly, the only real issue I see with having two coasters is trying to get the dueling launch element to be synced up. But maybe it doesn't need to be synced up. Maybe it'll just be a fun bonus when it happens. Speaking of which, I genuinely believe this element is not just possible, but likely. The park rebuilt this maintenance access tunnel before the start of the season and made a different entrance for those vehicles by Vortex. I believe they did this to make the tunnel just a bit wider to accommodate two side-by-side launch tracks, or at least make the tunnel more suitable for such an element. And yes, I did measure the tunnel compared to existing dueling or racing coasters. Wonderland has approximately 6 meters width to work with, which is enough for the dual track of Gemini at Cedar Point, Racer 75 at King's Dominion, and the head-to-head moments of the original Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa. The racing launch segments on West Coast Racers at Six Flags Magic Mountain are admittedly too wide to fit, though I see no reason why the tracks couldn't be a little closer, depending on the elements involved. The same is true for Stardust Racers at the upcoming Epic Universe theme park opening in Florida next year, both measuring around 7 meters including clearance. I'm only an armchair engineer, so let's say it isn't possible to have two launch tracks zooming toward each other before they pass by each other either side by side, twisting, or with an inversion built into one or both tracks. Maybe the actual launches aren't side by side, but I still think there's going to be a head-to-head moment like this on the ride somewhere. There are just too many teasers about fire and ice colliding at or in the mountain. Now, there's a very real possibility this is completely wrong. I have so many questions about this project, and that leaves far too much room to be sure of anything. If it's just one coaster, I still think the head-to-head moment where the elements collide is quite likely happening in or around the old maintenance access tunnel. As a single coaster, that helps make sure the jousting moment is synced up, which is a real concern if it is two coasters. The main reason I don't like that idea is because it doesn't explain why there are two markings with the exact same number, 157B. If it was 157A and 157B, I'd have no problem trusting that it's just one coaster. But maybe I just don't understand these markings as well as I thought. It also feels really strange to use Extreme Skyflyer's land, which is one of the absolute best plots of land for expansion the park has had in decades, for just one or two big elements for a coaster that doesn't have an entrance anywhere near this location. But maybe the park will save space on Extreme's land for future expansion, much like what happened when Skyrider was replaced by Yukon Striker, only for Tundra Twister to use the remainder of the land a few years later. Totally possible we'll see something similar happen here. Another big unknown which influenced my prediction is the lack of almost any markers in the cramped space between Vortex's first drop and its lift hill. I honestly don't see another coaster being able to travel back there, and I really don't have a better solution than using the mountain again as a final short tunnel for the ice coaster. Outside of the Haunt Maze entrance and exit hallways, which may not even be used moving forward, there's nothing in this corner of the mountain anyway, probably making it much easier to use it for the train to get back to the brake run than working around Guardian, Vortex, and Mountain Refresh. The park might not even need to make more holes in the mountain if it's willing to repurpose the maze entrance and exit hallways, though in this instance, I think I'd prefer if they did make some new holes, because I'm really hoping the ruins isn't being demolished for this project. Okay, now for the name, or rather, names. Sadly, Dragon Mountain and Dragon Challenge have both already been taken by familiar parks, but with AlpenFest seemingly taking over, I'm going with a German translation that's still easy enough for native English speakers to read and say. Eisberg and Vulkanberg. Both of these names would be unique for a coaster, and I think each evokes the nature of its respective predicted ride pretty well. Eisberg is a bit more family-friendly, while Vulkanberg is easy to read and has a certain power to it. And both of them ending with Berg is my way of connecting them in a simple and relatively subtle way. Well, there you have it. Eisberg, the family launch coaster exploring the mountain depths, and Vulkanberg, the thrilling launch coaster erupting at the top of Wonder Mountain. The two collide through a one-of-a-kind launch element, sending riders head-to-head at full speed. The rebranding of International Festival into AlpenFest is the ice cream on the funnel cake for this wonderful addition. But of course, this is just my prediction. I love seeing and hearing other perspectives, and with so much mystery, there's a lot of variety out there. Maybe the park will put a station on top of the Victoria Falls pump room in the mountain with a queue that uses the former Journey Behind the Falls. Maybe the park will run track along the former Wonder Mountain walkway. Maybe the ride will go up and over Thunder Run to meander on the mountain's roof. Maybe it'll have an elevator lift system to start the ride. Maybe there will be no station in AlpenFest. Every wild theory is valid as long as you remember these are all just theories. At least until Thursday, August 8th, when the park makes its special announcement. Stay tuned to the park's social media accounts and subscribe to this channel to make sure that you stay up to date on everything happening at Canada's Wonderland. And until next time, as always, have a good one! If you like this video, you can now buy me a hot chocolate at buymeacoffee.com. I also love hearing your thoughts, so feel free to leave a comment. Thanks so much for your continued support, and be sure to subscribe for more wonderful videos.